Hi everyone, I'm Dragon with you. Today I'd like to share my experience of playing Hearthstone, I mean the Descent of Dragons expansion, Galakrond's Awakening, and as you might notice, it took a while to deal with this, but I did it. So as you can see, when you finish the adventure with your own decks, you will get like these 4 points here and here. So it shows you that you actually are successful with all the parts at heroic. Okay, so basically today I'd like to share my experience with you. So it's not a guide anyway. It's just, how I did it and what worked on what particularly you can do here. So actually the first bosses were destroyed by my casual decks. So by casual decks I mean actually some decks which are particularly good on not only there. First of them is Burn deck. So yes, I know it's not the super cute optimal deck. Its ideas are Malygos OTK with Malygos and Imperator Sun and 4 extra spells. So actually, as you can see, this deck also provides another win condition. So you can survive long enough and then you can produce mass cold light oracles with Gengap. As a result, your opponent goes out of cards and he's tired. As a result, he dies from being super tired. While you're still there, to make it faster, you can go Spirit of the Shark and Brand, so it doubles the combo for getting cards. It also doubles the combo for healing. It's very important not to die. And I would also recommend to put the Dark Valira here. So it might help a lot when producing super massive cards. But this particular deck was played on ladder. It's not super great, but versus slow control decks it might work. Another ladder deck which I created and is actually kind of nice at this expansion is some casual decks like Big Priest, right? So I made a modification of the deck. I called it the Big Death Priest. It's not as cute as the original Big Priest, but it's more defensive. So basically you have lots of taunt minion with life steal, with destroy a random enemy minion. You could do it, right? So this particular deck is focused on protection, exactly, and of course on death rattle. So your win condition is probably get all the death rattle units you need. You mostly need statues, of course. Then you recreate the other minions with Xerx's cloning gallery. Or maybe you can just draw all your necessary minions yourself. And when you finished, you play Nzot the Corruptor. There is also a chance that you can get a board with Kel'Thuzad, and as a result it brings you like infinite taunt. That's exactly what worked in most of the cases versus bosses when I won with this deck. It was Kel'Thuzad and lots of taunt minions. If somehow your Kel'Thuzad dies, you have a chance to recreate it with Eternal Service or sometimes even Resurrect. That's how you can get back to the situation which is controllable. So absorb damage, kill enemy units, heal yourself, and it's kind of nice. Another conceptual deck which worked here is Zoo with lackeys, as I noticed it. So Zoo with lackeys is based on a casual Zoo Warlock, but it also has several special cards. So from the expansion I got Grand Lackey Air, to produce myself an infinite amount of lackeys. And of course, to make them effective, I need a special legendary. That's why Dark Pharaoh Tekan is here. So these two cards produce me with an almost infinite source of 4/4 minions with special effects, and actually that's how I get the late game. If still everything goes wrong, you may try to go Air, Quillian, Ratham and produce lots of legendaries. Sometimes it works. So another plan is just finish your opponent with Blood River Gul'dan, so sometime later he will get out of healing, and you will just kill him with Gul'dan. That's 3 decks which casually work, and they actually defeated bosses for the first part of the game. But then I decided, okay, why to play ladder decks when you can create your own decks, right? So I'll show you some history of fights. So if you are not too tired of, let's see some moments here. So actually now you can see that Dragon Caster Ascara is the boss which made me think more. So not just create a casual deck and win. She has lots of dragons and Malygos and other dragons, so she pushes you hard. Her abilities are make all dragons cheaper by 1 when you play it. And another ability is make your spells cheaper by 1. Sorry for my background noise, it's just out of the window. Okay, so let's go on. To finish with this Dragon Queen, or Dragon Caster, I decided to build a special deck, Anti-Dragon Defense. So as you can see, it's based on Quest Warrior, but actually it's not a typical Quest Warrior, because instead it has some special cards. As you can see, the 4/4 with Rush, and if your opponent has a dragon, you get +4/+4, is quite effective versus her. And of course, dealing 5 damage may just kill some dragons too. Other cards are typical for the Quest Warrior, so lots of control cards, you need armor, you need taunt minions, and as you can see, some moments when the situation seems out of control, but with Brawl and armor you can go on playing this. Actually, when your opponent is out of resources or you are out of these resources, that's the moment when you or your opponent loses. Fortunately for these bosses, you can try again and again before you get necessary cards in your hand, Ward Pierce for example, right? And at the end, she made a serious mistake. So as you can see, she had lots of spells, but actually she didn't know if she can deal with these spells. That's why she just decided to finish my board with Deathwing, lost all her cards, and soon she lost the game because I could deal with Deathwing, fortunately. Yes, it was painful, I know, but my special hero power let me win. And when she's out of cards, she obviously loses the game. So I tried to get rid of my boss's resources and finish them. Another boss is United Seniors Explorers, but before we start, I would like to show you the actual deck Anti-Dragon Defender, how I call it. So let's see. This deck is based on Quest. Obviously you need taunts to deal with it, right? So I can show you some special cards like Heavy Metal. You are supposed to collect armor for some time and deal damage and protect. Deal damage and protect. Clear the board and protect. Basically some special cards, lots of taunt minion, lots of control. Sometimes you need Mountain Fire armor, but your opponent often does not kill it anyway, so be careful with this card, you may change it into something. Dragon Slayers help a lot, and the casual Bash, Warpass, Shield Slam, and the Quest. That's my deck which defeated the boss. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing I would like to discuss is obviously, wait a moment, my notebook works some kind of strange way. Sorry for that. Okay, so we moved on to the United Senior Explorers. They are kind of okay, but the problem is they basically get lots of quests, they have some treasures, and they can buff themselves. So I decided to get a protective deck with a strong OTK potential. That's another ladder deck probably, so as you can see I got Druid with Malagos, with cloning, and it has lots of protection as well, and a crazy combo. I'll show it soon. So basically, first of all, you need to hold the line as long as possible. Your Druid turns into the Dark Druid, the Dark Knight, and produces a wall. He can taunt up if necessary, and just win some time. It also has the quest to improve the quality of your units. You can get double potential of every single card, and do double effects. Basically, Scales of Justice is one of the cards which irritated me a lot. It transformed all my units into Warlocks and got more Warlocks for my opponent. Sorry for that. Actually, the next deck I would like to share with you is this particular Druid. So, as you can see, the combo works here pretty nicely, and actually it allows me to deal with most of the opponents when I can survive till this moment. Actually, you see the combo, so it's Emperor Taurus Sun, then we go Aviana into Kun, into more mana crystals, then we produce Malagos, and there are several cards which copy the Malagos here, so you might get an even larger OTK potential. So Malagos costs only 1, that's why you can cast spells like Swipe, also except of casual spells for the OTK. And that's how it works. Okay, let's move on to the next part. As you can see, I one-shotted the boss. And now I'd like to show you the deck. So let's go to the deck. I called it the OTK Hybrid. Hybrid because it's not only OTK, but it's still the untapped potential Druid. So you like share the two superpowers. The first one allows you to get Loti with all the effects at once, and some other cards are nicely buffed with this ability. So you might win even without the OTK. And another option is of course Kun, Aviana, Malagos. Sometimes you can go Gloop Sprayer and Faceless Manipulator. If your opponent is super defensive, it has lots of health, lots of armor, you may collect all the combo and one-shot him still. That's how OTK Hybrid works. It's a ladder deck I created, but still it's worked versus some bosses. Okay, let's move on. So now let's go to another deck. As you can see, I played the Zub Warlock I showed you before versus Dragon Rider Talrita. Her hero power says that when a dragon dies, all other minions get buffed. That's exactly what a Zulok needs, a buff. So I can easily get buffed with all my minions, and as you can see, it worked versus her. So with the infinite combo of lackeys, I got a nice hand, an infinite cycle of lackeys, and each time I killed a dragon, my units were buffed. As a result, I won the game kind of easily. That's how my Zulok worked. Here you can see that versus the Wanderer, I managed to play not the anti-ship deck, but still it was a big priest, a casual deck, and it still worked. So you wall, you try to heal, Yes, here I could lose to a bomb, but it didn't happen, fortunately. So basically, I tried to collect a wall with Kel'Thuzad. Instead, I collected lots of missiles with Kel'Thuzad. And as you know, when they hit something, they die, but they are revived. And as a result, infinite missile combo. So infinite missile combo led me to the victory, actually. And of course, I needed some healing. Another deck, as you can see, it's the same anti-dragon warrior, dragon control warrior, I would say. 2 turns to victory. Here we need just to hold the line as long as possible. And as you can see, I did it from, I guess, the 3rd attempt. So when I got the board clears, when I got armor and played it right. So as this is an anti-deck, I will show you it again. So it's called what? Wait. It's called Anti-Dragon Defender, and for some reason it was deleted. Strange. Okay, anyway. Probably because my Windows was shut down, it led to a mistake, sorry. Okay, so basically you collect most of anti-dragon units, like 4/4 with rush and +4/+4 if your opponent has a dragon. Then 5 damage to a dragon, lots of board clears, and the quest with taunts. That's how we did it. So, and in this particular mission, I didn't need to kill my opponent. That's why I just skipped the quest and got more defense. Okay, let's move on. Now I'd like to talk about George and Carl. So they produce lots of paladins, then they buff them hard and try to hit your face as soon as possible. That's why I collected another special deck for them. So I'll get rid of this. I'll show you the deck which fought versus George and Carl. As you can see, it has lots of board clears. It's based on demons and their resurrection, basically. So here we go. Here goes the demons. Then when I got enough of them, I go Dark Gul'dan. And with my hero power, I heal and destroy the most powerful enemy units. And as you can see, I still have enough board clears. So sooner or later, I finished my opponent. Now I'll show you the deck. I called it AntiSpam. So as you can see, it consists of lots of demons. And the basic idea is that every single card, or almost every single card, destroys the board. So you need to get rid of not only the casual paladins, but of the buffed ones and of the special units. Be ready to be on low health, that's why I got double hooked river to protect myself. And actually lots of cards to clear the board, especially versus paladins. That's how we did it. So again, I'll show you this deck. As you can see, Blood River Gul'dan can play with double Void Lord. Abyssal Enforcer help you to deal damage, but the necessary minions to get back are, of course, the Despisable Dreadlords, because they get 1 damage into enemy paladins and you're likely to clear them before they get buffed. And yes, Hooked Rivers helped me to survive. Other cards just clear the board. That's how I did it. Okay, let's go back to Paint. The next thing is actually the Amazing Rhino. That's the pre-last boss. Here I would say that actually pray and bless the RNG, that's how this boss is called. Because his ability allows him to cast another time his spell, a random spell with the same cost. Actually, it means that you can take 10 damage instead of 5 since his first turn, and be ready to survive all the time. Okay, let's go. You see this? Nice, yeah? So I'll show you the deck now. Oop. As you can see, it has lots of taunt minions. It's based on Barnes combo with resurrecting your units and board clears, of course. To get back, you go Katrina, and of course you still need more units around. So Shadow Essence or Barnes to start the game, then you resurrect, then you defend, and produce lots of taunt minions. That's how I did it. It's a special deck, but it looks like a big priest deck. Okay, let's move on. So the last boss is actually Galakrond, the last boss of the first campaign. It's very powerful, and you know, it produces an 8/8 dragon when you invoke Galakrond. His hero power is destroys the enemy minion and all copies of that minion. Actually, that's why I tried to win not according to the board, but to give him a puzzle which is impossible to solve. First of all, I tried to get rid of all his dragons. That's why a lot of board clears, equalities, and so on. Sorry, guys. Here I almost died, but fortunately my deck has lots of healing. So top deck Nazari and we're back to game. Nice. And then, finally, I got to the point when the board seems empty. He is almost out of cards. And now I can heal, now I can get rid of cards. And that's the puzzle. So if he kills, he dies. He loses the game, I mean. If he doesn't kill, he dies because of damage. That's how we did it. And please don't play this deck on ladder. It actually rarely works. Okay, I'll show you now in game. So, I'll tell why you need Nosdorma and when you need it. When you feel that you are like full of board clears, you have the combo of Wild Pyromancer plus Equality or another combo, and not only one but two or three of them. Then you provoke your opponent to fill the board by playing Nosdorma. When he plays all his invokes, you just kill all of them and go to next round. That's how you do it. Actually, I won since I don't remember which attempt, but I did it with the Mecha Cthulhu. So the puzzle which he cannot solve. Okay, let's move on. When you finish, you get a card back and a nice picture of Refem flying on a dragon. The super villain which finished his job. And now let's go to the second campaign. As you can see, most of the bosses were defeated by the same decks, but still I got some new ones. So that's the typical big priest. As you can see, it's the big taunt priest from which I showed you already. It produced a nice wall with resurrection, and although my opponent had lots of super heavy units, I had enough board clears and resurrections to deal with them. So a wall with infinite resurrections. Then Riziki the Win played lots of units. That's why I decided, okay, you'll play versus my Zul Warlock. And actually I had enough resources to get rid of all her minions. It's very irritating when every single unit has like resurrection with 1 health. It's annoying. But fortunately the Warlocks also have the unit potential and I had almost infinite lackeys. It was not a super easy game, but still, as you can see, infinite lackeys dealt their impact. Let's move on. So another game with a big priest here. That's actually how it works. So you produce a great wall and your opponent cannot defeat it. That's the end. Fortunately, Shadow Word Horror is very effective versus these little tentacles. You just clear all of them instantly. And that's it. Rotwing. Rotwing says that your death rattles and your opponent's death rattles activate at the start of his turn. It always happens. That's why I picked the Big Death Priest. As you can see, it has 4 destructions every single turn, and that's why this wall survived lots of time. And then, when I was pretty sure that everything is controlled, I got Kel'Thuzad there, and that's it. Another play of Big Death Priest versus the Dragon Slayer Skrak. This Dragon Slayer buffs all his minions in his handed deck, so be ready to get like 25 damage into your face from nowhere. The Kodo. The Kodo deals damage equal to his attack to when he goes into the board. So this wall is very hard to break. Fortunately, most of the bosses doesn't have the super AoE spells to deal with it. That's why I was kind of nice here. As you can see, lots of super heavy minions. That's the moment when I had to be super defended. As you can see, I tried my best to get health almost at maximum. That's why I didn't use the ability kill a minion and get damage equal to its health, because I would die right now otherwise. And actually my wall survived and won me the game. And now I'd like to show you a special deck versus the ships. Wait a moment, I'll show it to you. It's called anti-ship actually. You can see that here we have Xerax Cloning Gallery, Plague of Death, Stages, Kasrina, Prophet Velen, so actually that's the heavy minions to deal with enemies in late game. And it also has lots of special forces. So Shadow Priests allow you to get ships into your control. Be ready to get lots of damage into your face from catapults, producing bombs, from end turn effects, and so on. That's why Sandhoof Water Beater is very popular here. It helped me a lot this game. Some more healing, some more destruction, destroying almost all enemy units here. Mass Dispel just provoked 0 something units. So they are useless, but they occupy place. Then healing, removal, get more spells, and the combo. So actually this game was won by the combo of Divine Spirit into Inner Fire. When your opponent received enough damage, you can get the combo and finish the game. That's your win condition. To activate it, you need a stature or the opponent's 0-8 minion. He has several of them. Okay, let's move on. Now, as you can see, George the Fallen again. So, not George and Carl, but only George. But the idea is actually the same. So I tried to deal with him with AntiSpam, and I was successful since some attempts. Another game with my Big Priest or Big Death Priest. So what's special about Vox Rider Toggle Waggle? At first glance, you might say, okay, you played the same deck another time. But actually, it's not the same deck. I'll show you. It's a special deck versus Toggle. So what's special about this deck? Most of the units are either destruction or healing. And some Cabal Shadow Priests with Potions of Madness allow you to take control over the candles. So not only you get a minion, but your opponent does not get a buff for his weapon, and you are getting the weapon instead. So actually this is a nice example of anti-hero defense with lots of healing, removals, and control of the board. So Priest of the Feast also allows you to survive longer. Your end game condition is Kel'Thuzad with double obsidian statues or with double something else on the board. So you can get healing, you can get convincing infiltrator, something this kind. And remember that when your candles die, they produce you a good amount of damage, like a weapon. So I'll show you again how it worked. As you can see here, I got a wax weapon myself, wax lance. Then both of us got wax lances, and I got enough healing. That's why candles fight not only for my opponent, but for me as well. And as a result, 11 to lance versus 10 healing each turn. It was enough to finish this game. Yes, it was painful, it was hard, but still enough. So don't forget healing and collect candles for yourself. That's your weapon. As you can see, I got only 4 too, but it was still good enough. The next deck I called Astro Druid. This deck worked specifically versus some previous heroic bosses, so I recollected it. Its idea was to destroy the opponent by super value ahead. And unfortunately, my tests failed at my opponent. That's why I didn't show the deck list in my Hearthstone. I show it like on a print screen. So super heavy minions preferable with taunts, some super heavy getting more cards with healing, like Ultimate Infestation and Overflow. And I tried to win with my potential. So as you can see, turn 4 for my opponent, some little imps versus me, and 10-10 card after Astral. Seems good. This situation on the next turn seems even better. But the problem is actually your face is not infinite. So yes, I got super powerful minions on the board. But he has the weapon 5-4 with Super Wind Fury. Using this weapon, he dealt enough damage, and his minions can finish you too. That's why, as you can see, I played several turns, but still my face was broken. And that's why I stopped playing Astro Druid versus him and tried another deck. The other deck was a special mage. I will show this deck right now to you. I also tested on ladder. It kind of works sometimes, but still it's not good enough. So remember that versus the boss you have almost infinite potential to replay the game if something went wrong. In my case, lots of games went wrong because game trolled me hard. Like if you burn 2 cards and you burn one of the key cards at your deck, be careful with it. So basically the win condition is the infinite firepower. You go open the way gate, some cards to get you extra spells. They should be cheap because you will be forced to cycle your deck. And Ray of Frost helps a lot when dealing with several heavy units and lots of little units. So you don't need to freeze all of them, you just need to freeze the key units and survive another turn. This deck is based on survival, draw, so both players draw. Rethem will draw anyway, as many cards as he needs. Shatter helps you to kill the key minion, it's a nice card. And actually lots of board clears of freezing. I would pick another ice block, but unfortunately I have only one Cone of Cold and Polymorph. So that's the control cards. You also need some healing. Because your opponent has lots of minions on the board, I prefer Cult Apothecary. It heals like 10 to 14 health, usually. And Elenet. So I tried to play without Elenet. Yeah, it's pretty safe. You know, you will not burn your combo, except when your Retham proves you with Cursed. But still remember that you are short of time, so every single turn moves you to death. Sooner or later, Retham will get the board which you will not be able to counter. That's why I thought, okay, for some period of time I will survive without Elenet, but since the moment when I got dead, or almost dead, or when I can just win another turn, let's pick Elenet and try to find all other cards. That's how it works. So you go open the way gate into extra turn, then you play double Sorcerer's Apprentices, then you clone them with Echo of Medivh. So you play 3 of them, clone Echo of Medivh, then you take extra turn, play the 4th one, play the Antonidas and go infinite fireballs. That's how this deck works. So now let's move on to Paint. I'll show you how it actually worked here. So as you can see, my random spells brought me 3 ice blocks. 1 of them is my own, 2 of them were created. And here we go. So remember that the Elenet may cause your death too. Remember that enemy will get you cursed several times, so he has at least 2 such cards. They help you with the quest anyway, and you might die. That's why you need healing and try not to get down to 2 health. Never. Never do that. It's better to keep on 7 or at least 8 health. 8 is the optimal. Okay, and all the game you need to survive. Let's go. So, three sorcerers, 8 mana. Clone them. Play 2, clone them. Play extra turn. Remember that Elenet will deal some damage from fatigue to you, so you need to count if you are surviving this. If you survived, you have extra turn, play another sorcerer, play Antonidas, and go infinite fireball. Easy. Unfortunately, luck will if you have infinite damage. You get a nice card back, get a nice picture, and you are good. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope it will help you somehow. Try to get your own decks maybe. And see you in the next videos. Good luck.